Well, hi, a very warm welcome to Dusty Shelf. I hope I find you well. Well, this is the Deltic from the 1960s, and I find myself in this rather strange position where I'm re-recording an introduction after sort of completing the filming on this video. So I've gone all the way through the process and all the steps I wanted to do on restoring this model that you see here. And it's kind of gone a little bit out of sequence and a little bit off the original plan. So I thought what I'd do is just come back to the beginning and kind of explain how this video kind of came about, and then hopefully that will make the sort of flow of the video a little bit more in context. So I started off, before I started Dusty Shelf actually, I picked up this chassis and restored it. And yeah, 6-wheel drive, so you can see on the front here, the 6 wheels all driven. And this is a 1960s Dublo chassis, beautiful condition and a really nice runner. And I've been on the lookout for a body for this for some time, looking for the right one that I wanted to put on here. Now, one of my viewers did have one of these, and over time I've lost their number and not managed to get in touch. But a couple of these came up for sale. There's actually 3 of them, and this one was good enough to put onto my chassis, and it looks fantastic and completes that build. But with the other 2 bodies that came with it, they were a little bit warm around the edges, and I thought, well, I'll keep my eye out for another chassis that I can kind of complete this one. And in doing so, these 2 came up. These are 2 sort of Hornby Triang chassis from a little diesel, and you can see on here they're 4-wheel drive. So, you know, each one of these bogies is 4-wheel drive. So there's the 4 wheels rather than the 6 wheels. But I ended up with 2 of these. And what I thought is I would turn one of these through 90 degrees, rewire it, and then create a chassis. And this will become my second Deltic. So part of this video, I'm going to restore these 2 chassis. These are, like I say, I'm filming out a sequence. So these actually have been cleaned, restored, rewired. But you'll see me do that in a moment. Then I'm going to take the 3rd body and respray that, and then ultimately, because the spray job on the 3rd body came out so well, I've ended up putting that onto the really good original chassis. And then this other body, which was reasonable condition, I've put onto my newly made chassis. So I hope that will make sense. And now I'm going to go through the process of the restoration, and then hopefully come back right at the end and wrap this video up quite nicely. So I have 2 chassis here. I've got a plan for these. Picked them up recently, and they are both technically runners. If I just put some power on there, you see that one is jumping forward, and the same with this one is jumping as well. In fact, if I lift it up, we might be able to get it to turn properly. Let's try again. Yeah, you can see they're both running quite sweetly, actually, not too bad at all. But there's no pickups underneath, so I've got to make a new wire to go to the wheels. But as I say, I've got a plan for these. So I think what I'm going to do is just take these apart, give them a good clean, a good service, then make a new pickup for the base on each of them, and then, well, essentially these are going to be at either end of an engine. So basically I've got to change the polarity, so one runs in that direction and one runs in reverse. The only problem with them is, unfortunately, they've got different size wheels in. This has got the larger oversized wheel in, and this is the smaller one that I think was found on the sort of dock shunters. So I am on the lookout for a set of wheels to go on here so that they both run at the same height, but that potentially is for another day. But I'll get these serviced first of all. So these have always been quite a pain to service, this type of chassis. I've never really enjoyed doing these because they're quite troublesome in places. But what we'll do is let's get it apart, and let's see what we've got. I might actually give the main chassis a spray of paint as well while I've got them off. That's the over there, the wheel should come underneath. Now, some of this one. Through the wires, because there's a meter wires in here. Just press around. you just remove the motor, take the longer screw out through here, and the motor housing off the top. Okay, then the magnet assembly, I think, yeah, it comes out all together with the drive shaft with the armature. So we've got to unclip the bearings at either end. That's one end out, and there should be a little ball on the end here that I don't want to lose. There's the bearing, and there's the very tiny ball bearing. Put that back inside so I don't lose it. And the armature. I'm just going to take the bearing off this end. Okay, that's one chassis. I'll do the same on this one. Appear to be a bearing in there. Oh yes, it's inside. Okay, there is a bearing in there. That's good. Right, and then the armature assembly lifts out. Right, that's the other chassis. So the chassis is not in bad condition actually. They don't seem too bad at all. So I think what I'd like to do, take these, give them a good clean. Don't know if they actually need painting. They don't look too bad. Maybe I'll dust them over. Well, I've decided against painting them. They really don't need it. So I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning this off and reassembling it. So first of all, let's start with this one. I'll give it a good clean and assemble this back into the motor, back into the chassis, sorry. Now I'm just going to mention before I start, the cleaning fluid, contact cleaner that I'm using, WD-40, it's made by WD-40, it's not the oil, I keep saying that just to be sure, because people do say, oh, you shouldn't use WD-40, and they're absolutely correct, you shouldn't. But this is the contact cleaner, different stuff. And I should also say my videos are just me enjoying the hobby. They're not meant to be instructional in any way. They're just, you know, just me enjoying the hobby. So yeah, if you want to know how to do things properly, there's some really good videos on the on YouTube that will tell you how to restore these locos absolutely perfectly. Whereas mine just meant to be a bit of fun. And my new tool, fiberglass pencil, that is absolutely amazing in cleaning up the contacts on these. A beautiful job, look at that. Right, so look at the bridge here. Just take the bridge out for a moment, and let's just give this a little bit of clean. Slide that back under there. And I'm just going to remagnetise the magnet. I think I have to do that now. I'll clean off the brushes first. Okay, that's brushes. Right, I'm going to drop this back in. Only so that when I magnetise the motor I'm not going to disturb anything. So that goes into there. The armature through the middle. This whole thing drops down into the chassis like so and links back together. This way's north, so just bring in the magnetiser. We've got a direction arrow on the machine, so I'm just going to place this in, pointing north. And now that I know that I can use this with my camera switched on, I shall just push this in here, push the button a couple of times, and that should be done. Right, brushes back in. These are never easy to do. Right, this end. Might need to get a pair of tweezers for these. There's some there. The brushes back in. Okay, that's all looking pretty good so far. Right, now we'll just see the bearings at either end. So these are, well, basically what you've got to do is put this little bush over the top. This is the brass bearing. Once that's in place, then there is a very small ball bearing to fit on there. Now the way I've found to do this is just with a tiny bit of grease, if I've got some to hand. Let me just have a look. There's some there. Tiniest bit of grease on there. And that just holds the ball bearing in that brass housing while you assemble the rest of the armature. So that sits on there. And we have a damping pad that goes around the outside. And then the housing clips on the end. That's that end done. And the other end exactly the same. On goes the bearing for the drive shaft. Like that. Tiny bit of grease. Just to hold the ball bearing inside. it goes. Right, that's all back together. Let's just give that a little bit of power. Check it works. Perfect. Okay, and I'm just going to clean the wheels off, and then we can drop those back in as well. Don't take that, to be honest. Okay, that drops in there, that drops in there. Okay, I'll just put the housing back on top for now, like so. Do this up. Right, simple as that. Just going to double check that that still works. Should do. Yep, that's fine. Okay, leave that one there. I'm going to go ahead off camera and just reassemble the other, or clean and reassemble the other chassis, and then we'll come back and try and create some sort of pickup for these. Hopefully we can do something with that. So just off camera there, I've bent a piece of wire, hooked it underneath what was left of the contact there, and just put a tiny bit of glue just to glue it in place. That will now screw on the base like so, and I just need to line that up with the wheels. Now, something I didn't mention with the wheels is one of these, one side is insulated, the other side isn't. So I can't really see it, but there's a little rubber grommet on this side, or a little plastic grommet on this side, which means these wheels are insulated. These both have to go on the side of the pickup. So that one goes in there, and that one round that way. So yeah, if you get those around the wrong way, you'll just have a short circuit. And then this, I just need to cut to length, which just line up the holes. So that one about there, and that one roughly there. I think maybe a tiny bit longer. Right, let's see if we can get those in. Hook them behind the wheels, like so. That looks good. Screws up. Perfect. Okay, so I now need to run a wire from that little solder blob there up onto the insulated side of the brushes. I'll do that in a moment. Right, I'm going to go ahead and try and build this contact exactly the same, and yeah, they'll come back and solder the wires on. That's the contact on the base of that one as well. So now solder a wire on, and yeah, see if it actually works. So just clean this off the base. It's nice and clean for the solder to take. Slide it up through. Don't really want this to get too hot. Now, it's really bad practice to solder onto the brushes, but I don't have any of the little brass bits to solder onto, so I'm just going to do that for now. Let's bring this round and solder that onto there. Okay, that's that done. Do the other one while I'm here, and we'll try them in a moment. I did cut the suppressor off this second motor. It was so messy. Well, a little bit of a problem there. So what I hadn't realised is where I soldered the wire onto the top here, it wasn't actually making a connection with the pickup. So I've resoldered the wire directly onto the pickup, and hopefully everything's working now. So that's just, yeah, there we go. So that one is working, was working. Let's just pop some power on here. Oh, yeah, look, that one's working. And this one is working. So I'll take these over to the track now and see which direction they're running in, and I might have to switch some wires over. But yeah, hopefully they're now ready to go onto the chassis that, well, that I need to build. Right, well, with my power bogies complete, this is what I plan to put them under. Not really sure how I'm going to do it at the moment, because normally I'd put a metal chassis in here. These Dublo locos had like a bent piece of metal in here that picked up on the bogies, but because I potentially are going to put both power bogies in, I've got sort of a reverse polarity on each of the bogies, and if I put metal chassis in there, it'll short. So I do need to make a plastic chassis. But first thing is, this body that I have here that I've picked up, it's far enough gone. It's missing paint here. It's got some damage on the top of the side where it's been hit, and there's a couple of other bits and pieces that you know, it's not the best condition. So I'm quite happy to strip the paint off of this and repaint it. So I'm just going to chip out the glass at the front here, get that out of the way. In fact, that might come away by hand. No, I'll have to get something in there for that, but I'll take the glass out of there, and then I'm going to take this through and leave this in some paint stripper overnight and get it back to bare metal before I paint it. Well, I stripped all the paint off of this, and I don't think I'll know when I edit that I did record it when it was in bare metal, but I took this straight outside and dusted it over with this white undercoat. Now, one of the things I just wanted to say about these is what you don't realise is these older Hornby Dublo models, the intricacies in the die-cast moulding, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so next job, get some colour on this. Well, I've got the first couple of layers of paint on here. You can see the grey roof, sort of the cream, well, brownish sides. Now for the livery I'm trying to do the Deltic prototype, if you haven't guessed already. I need to put the third light in here, which I meant to do before I sprayed it, but going to go ahead and try and get that onto here somehow. Not sure how successful that will be, but I'll give it a go, see how it looks. Always take it off if no good. Well, I managed to find a couple of little brass inserts. These are actually guides from a ring-filled motor. And all I've done is drilled through the front there, glued them in place at either end, and then with a little bit of modelling filler, just created myself a little lamp at either end of the body there. So really pleased how they've sort of finished. Now I do need to undercoat them just to see if the filling is okay. I think probably will need another couple of layers of, you know, just sanding back and refilling. I can see a couple of marks in them, but as a sort of third headlight, it's gone quite well. Quite pleased with that. Well, we've got the base coats on, so got grey back on the roof. Done this with just a tad lighter grey across the roof there, and yeah, really pleased how the headlamps have come out. So next job is to mask up the whiskers. Well, final shot of it all masked up before we put the blue on the top. Well, take a look at this. I am, well, speechless. So all credit to my son. This is his craftsmanship, hence why a lot of it wasn't videoed. All of this is painted on, so this was all masked, as you saw in the steps. And yeah, try to colour match the colours on the roof and the sides. Even the chevrons on the front, these were all cut out individually with little masks put on there. And then after he's finished, I've just painted in the buffers, and on the inside you can see the glass glued on the sides here. Now the glass on the windows has actually got a curvature in there, so all I did is cut the glass to size, glued it in, and then heated the glass with a hairdryer and gave it a very slight curvature on there, which has really finished it off quite nicely. Really pleased with how the third light, the centre light, has come out on this model. As I say, these were just little brass inserts, as you can see there, that I drilled through the body, put the brass insert in, and literally filled over the top. It's actually come out much better than I ever expected or wanted, and yeah, it's much too good for the project that I wanted it for. So I didn't really explain at the beginning the context of the project. So I've had this chassis for some time, and this is an old Hornby Dublo chassis, and been trying to pick up a body for it for ages and ages. And yeah, one of the viewers did have one, and somehow through time I've not managed to get in touch, we've not managed to meet up, and I've lost his contact details. But I managed to pick up a couple of these bodies recently. So originally I wanted the one body to finish off this chassis, which is this one here, and the idea was just to finish this off as a sort of period correct Deltic from the Hornby Dublo range. The body's not in bad condition, you know, it's a little bit worn around the sides, but normally with these bodies I love to leave the patina on them. I don't like to mess about with them because, you know, they show their age and they show their wear, and I all think that's part of the charm of them, so I don't normally like to paint them. But this body that came with it was in a slightly worse condition. I wish I'd filled all this in now, because you know, it's come out so well. I wasn't overly worried about it, but there's some damage on the body there, and the paint was all, as you saw, was all chipped off. So I thought, well, I'll paint this body up. So I started looking around for a chassis that I could fit to this second body, and these came up, which is what you saw at the beginning. And I thought, well, actually I could take these two and reverse them, or reverse one of them, put them at either end, and basically get an 8-wheel drive Deltic. Albeit, you know, ideally I'd want 6 wheels at either end, but a little bit of artistic license, I'd put these two in. Through sort of the course of this video, obviously, then I've realised, well, putting a metal chassis in between these two, because I've reversed one of them, means the polarity is different. So putting a metal chassis between the two would short the whole thing out. So I've gone away and created my own little plywood chassis. It's fairly straight, quite strong, and that's going to sit between the two, and obviously being plywood gives an insulation point between the two chassis. And this does fit, or should fit, I say should, that way round, up inside the chassis like so, and screw in place. And yeah, hopefully when it's screwed on we should have a running loco. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to whip the screws out of here, put the 2 screws either end, and go and give this a little test run. Take the chassis off, give it a spray. I want to make sure that yeah, it's a little bit less discreet than what it is at the moment, and then we can mount the new body onto it. Well, I'm quite pleased with the way that runs. It's yeah, fairly smooth, a little bit jumpy because of the nature of the wheels on the 2 bogies, but with both of them running in opposite directions, it's quite a sprightly little engine, and yeah, quite powerful. And obviously the chassis looks totally out of place at the moment, but let me go and give this a little paint, and yeah, we can get the body on that and it'll look much better. So that's come out so well. I've got this Dapol kit, and in here it does have a set of decals. So I'm going to steal these from this kit because I'm really pleased how that's come out. And let me just take these out. These are just the words Deltic that would go on there like that. So I'm going to drop those on. These are just water slide transfers. I won't film that. Yeah, just pop the Deltic decals on the side there. Well, that's set that body off nicely. I'm glad I've used those. Seems a shame to take them out of the kit, but I can always get some more. I mean, the kits are, I think they're about £10, so you know, you pay more than that for decals these days. So I've just got to reassemble the chassis. You can see it doesn't look like a piece of wood anymore, which is good. And yeah, it's quite strong. It's not too bad at all. So I've just got to screw this all together. And then I just want to do a little piece to the camera about this Loco and yeah, why this livery is a little bit special on this particular body. Well, I've dropped this down onto that chassis and it doesn't look very good. So I think for the purposes of this video, you've seen it go onto the chassis, and I will leave the build of the chassis in there. But what I'm going to do is drop this nice newly painted body onto the original Hornby Dublo chassis that I've got, purely because I'm so pleased with the way that it's come out. I'm really pleased with this. Well, here we are at the end of the project, and I have switched the two chassis over. So my Frankenstein chassis with the two four-wheeled Triang chassis and my little wooden piece I've mounted onto this old Deltic body, and it looks okay. Runs all right and looks okay. Still need to get the smaller set of wheels for this because it's sitting a little bit high at one end. But my pride and joy, which I am so pleased with, is my Deltic prototype, P1 prototype, on the original Hornby Dublo chassis, and over the moon with that. Now, the reason this is such an important livery to me, now I'll just bring in one of the catalogues here. So this is the 4th edition of the catalogue from Meccano Limited. You see here, Binns Road, Liverpool, Hornby Dublo electric trains, and on the front of it is indeed the Deltic. Now, it's slightly different livery to the one that I've got here. I'm just going to bring in my example with the same livery on. This one in the box here. And you can see this is the Crapello version, but with the livery on the cover there. But exactly the same moulding as you can see for this one on here. However, if I go back a couple of years before to the 2nd edition, on the front cover here was the Deltic, a P1 Deltic in the blue livery, and despite being on the front of the catalogue, it never actually saw the light of day in this livery. So hence why I've taken the artistic license and painted this one up in the colours that it was shown on the front of the catalogue there. Now, if I go inside the catalogue, this early edition, you can see it here in the livery as shown at the bottom here. Now, interesting thing is this is showing with windows in here, and I can see the windows on this one, so I think I probably do need to put windows inside this one as well. Obviously I've got them in my Deltic, so it wouldn't take a lot to put them in there, but I'll do that off camera. But yeah, hence the reason for choosing the Deltic prototype livery with the whiskers on the front. What a nice little project there. Put both of these back on the rails. Got my chassis running with a nice new shiny prototype Deltic body on there, and then my Frankenstein chassis here. Absolutely beautiful runner, this one, running really well around the track. I have to say the chassis that I restored many moons ago probably needs another service. I did have to remagnetise it once while filming, hence why there's not so much footage. Kind of gave up on that a little bit. Got it running past a couple of times, so it is a runner, but yeah, it does need another little service. But the green one, yeah, great little chassis. That one works really well. Probably won't replace that, to be honest. It's a nice little runner, and yeah, very, very powerful with the 2 motors in there. And just some glass to put in there just to finish that one off, I think. But over the moon with the body on the blue one. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up, and why not check out the channel, lots on there, and if you can subscribe, I'll be very, very grateful. And with that, we'll leave this one there. I'll just say thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.